The Joe Rogan Experience.
It was, it started to slowly come back really when the X Games came into play, where suddenly we were on TV and kids could see how much skating had evolved. Well, the whole public could see how much skating had evolved from the time that they last saw it in the late 80s. And then they were seeing it and it was just like, whoa, these guys this is for real. This is, for lack of a better word, this is a sport. These guys are doing acrobatic things and it takes discipline and it takes determination and kids recognize that. And I think that's really when skating started to spark again.
And this is like 95-ish?
Probably more closer to 96, 97. The first X Games was a little strange, a little scattered, because it was like skateboarding and bungee jumping and rock climbing and sky surfing.
They were trying to figure it out.
They were just throwing everything. And then it really rubbed us the wrong way because suddenly we were labeled as extreme. And it was like, what do you do? I skateboard. Oh, you're into extreme sports. No, I skateboard. I don't know what.
Yeah, that's a weird category, right? That extreme sports
It was
category.
just anything. Yeah, and that was, it was coined by ESPN. So that's why they changed it to X Games. So the first one was Extreme Games 95. They changed it to X Games in 96. I think they really found their niche a few years later when they really started to weed out all the random stuff, and it was more about skateboarding, BMX, motocross. Like those became really the highlights and the reason people were tuning in. And then that's when things really exploded.
And what were like the early skateboarding events in the X Games? Like, what did you?
It was street and vert, and
so vert came back.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it for
I think it was really because ESPN recognized that the vert is a spectator sport.
Yeah, that was going to say, for us on the outside, we would watch it to see someone fall spectacularly.
Yeah,
because
sure.
You guys would go, you would hit those ramps, and you would watch people just fuck up, and you're like, oh my God, look how far he's falling.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then once they got in, once they evolved that into what they call the big air ramps, the mega ramps, then it was just like the aerials and the risk factor was tenfold.
Yeah, the risk factor. I mean, I've seen some wipeouts that are just, they're baffling.
I think when things started to really explode with the big air thing, and then Jake Brown had his big accident, the one that kind of everyone saw went viral. You've probably seen him where he's just falling from like 30 feet up. That's when they started to, I don't want to say tone it down, but really they started to figure out how to do it in a way that is still progressive, but not just throwing caution to the wind and not just trying to break all the height and spin records. It was just
bad did he
they
get
really
hurt?
refined it. Surprisingly, I think he broke his hand, maybe his heel, and had like internal bruising, but
that's it.
It was really unbelievably lucky.
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, this guy, there's no way this guy's gonna live.
And then
and
then they didn't have the proper protocol in place. They just let him walk off the ramp. It was nuts. Yeah, it was. But it was definitely a shock to the system. And like I said, they started to refine that event where it's just like, all right, you guys, let's just. We're comfortable at this certain height. Let's just stick with that.
Yeah.
Even all those skaters said it themselves. They're like, well, we can really work on new tricks at this height instead of trying to
go to the moon.
Go to the moon, right?
Yeah.